All right. All right, so I've been getting some messages. It's been 4 months since my writ for supervisory review has been sent to the Louisiana State Supreme Court. It's sitting on their desk. It's been sitting on their desk for 4 months. So as we're waiting, as I'm waiting, because it's really just, it's my case, I guess I have people engaging in some conversation with city court about how other people have been treated, because since the decision that was made by the Third Circuit Court of Appeals came in, labeling Judge Owsley from changing his label from honorable judge to harmful judge, there's been some conversation after the Third Circuit Court of Appeals happened. I mean, there was the back and forth between me, my lawyer, Phil, and the prosecutor, and the arguments that were made upon the submission of the writ of appeal, the supervisory writ of appeal that went to the Supreme Court. But since then, we've been looking at other cases, other interests that are very related to my case, the denial of a free lawyer. I wasn't even given a chance to get a lawyer by the way the public defender's office is set up. They seem more busy taking care of their dog than they are managing the approval service. So what can I do to how can I communicate this best so that people understand? There's a lot of back and forth going on only through the email. There's been no interactions, so there's nothing to portray as a live stream. Or this is entirely by email, and there's some very choice words happening that are disturbing me. All right, so we found out that there are 5 other cases where it looks pretty clear that the defendant was denied a free lawyer, and they went through the trial process, and we want to see what exchanges occurred, and the best way to learn what was the back and forth conversation is to look at the transcripts. All right, so we saw the minutes, and we see kind of like what resulted from those other cases. We see that they're denied a lawyer and that they were found guilty. Okay, but how did the process go? We want to see that process, and that's the trouble here. Shanita, the main court clerk, the city of Natchitoches, is denying us the right to see these transcripts Okay, she's using like law that says she doesn't have to show us transcripts, and this goes back to the law where it says that the public officials don't need to disclose any of their training records or disciplinary records. The Louisiana Supreme Court has ruled that they don't have to give any records of disciplinary actions, and it's bleeding into a lot of other types of records as well, such as court cases. We're not able to see court cases because they're so confident that they could just hide everything. All right, they can prevent us from making records ourselves. They keep the records and they hold the records indefinitely from the public's viewing, both with city officials' disciplinary records, with courts, with transcripts, court transcripts as well. All right. The argument that Shanita is making is that since I'm not a party to the case, I don't have a right to those records, and she is making that call based on what Judge Ousley is telling her. The harmful Judge Ousley still causing more harm to the process, and we have no recourse. My lawyer has gotten involved. I'm reading these emails that go back and forth between people about how we have a right to these, and we'll pay anything. It's apparently each transcript is supposed to cost like $1,500. Sure, okay, just get the process going. We give an upfront payment of $100, and then the $15. And I don't have that money. We really don't have that kind of money, as far as I understand. All right, so I don't know how we'll be able to go through with that. But even money doesn't seem to have much of a pull, or does it? Do we have to offer? Do we have to say I'll pay you double? But still, they want to fall back on how but government officials have a very a wide range of protections from the public. The public records are only can remain within the hands of the government officials without any oversight. All right. This is something where even the state is standing behind the protection of these records, of everybody's records related to government. The state is standing behind it. So, I mean, going over their heads would mean going to the federal courts, which are overrun. All right, federal courts, or once again, waiting on election cycles. All right, can you get honest candidates, honest politicians into office? I mean, there's not a whole lot of recourse unless you try to perform a January 6th riot on the city courts, and I mean you could clearly see what happened to the White House and the repercussions that happened to that. That guy that put his feet on the Nancy Pelosi's desk, he got 6 years in prison. So, I mean, you can't really bring an army in to storm the city court to get those records. I mean, yes, that kind of activity has happened in the past. I've read about how city courts in their not city courts, but just courthouses in general, they're in their early formations, and how there were a lot of rivalries between cities, and there was one case where there was such a rivalry that the townspeople of one city stormed a courthouse in another city, took all the records and brought them over to their city to form their own courthouse because they were so unhappy with the location of the courthouse. So early on in our history, there have been courthouse stormings, but from what I've read, it's been early on, and it was mainly about the disputes of the location of the courthouses. But this courthouse is a fortification. They have walled themselves off from the public, but the state has also walled itself off from its own people within its walls. Okay, it's walling itself off from the people inside the structure, and it's incredible to see how this plays out. I'm in Wisconsin, and I'm still talking about Louisiana, and my active, open court case. Not something that's very desirable for me to still deal with, but it's still going on. It's cost me $20,000+. It continue to drain money into the swamp of Louisiana's politics and judicial system. They're very much dirty and intertwined. It's just a swamp, and it's stewing. And they continue to bury records. They continue to create more records for them to just bury, okay? Everybody has to take it upon themselves to get all the records they can in real time. Because if you want to go back to get records, then good luck, because it's too late. If you're not a part of the party, they need some kind of like third party to record as much as they can. But I mean, if you read the Natchitoches Parish Journal, the NPJ, they are very politically leaning. They lean politically in favor of the corruption by being so giddy, writing such a happy piece about how the First Amendment auditor got tossed in jail. They made me look disgusting, and the city looked very heroic in their actions. All right, that's not a newspaper. That's not a publishing source that you can rely on to gather the right facts, to be able to research later. It's way too biased. There's a lot of bias in the newspaper. It's more of a news agenda, and for us to try to backtrack on 5 cases in the city court is a really tough measure. I mean, I say that, well, you get the federal court involved, but that would be a part of suing the city court, getting the federal court involved, and that's what my lawyer talks about. So he knows that that's kind of a losing battle, and he would need a lot of support, because he's referred to somebody else who spent like almost $10,000 on trying to get the verbal transcripts, trying to get the actual audio recordings of court proceedings. Just simply trying to get audio recordings of a court proceeding. He said a lawyer attempted that and failed, and they paid out of their own pockets and lost thousands upon thousands of dollars to just have the Louisiana State Supreme Court deny him, pretty much. He gave a name of this person. Let's see if I can find it. It's down towards the bottom. Let's see. She believes the law. Yeah, she's using the difference between, Shanita is using the difference between litigant and non-litigant. If you're a non-litigant, you're really denied. And then you have to get the transcripts as a part of the appeal process. And then once that process, if that process expires, you got 30 days, then it's tough luck. Then you're not going to get any transcripts. All right, I don't think I can find, because it was a lot of back and forth here. And I'm getting bit up. So this is the standstill, is getting the court transcripts from the trials that happened for the other guys who were denied a free lawyer and were found guilty in Judge Owsley's court. My lawyer is talking about suing, because that's the next best thing, the next thing that can happen, because pretty much the court clerk is denying us the record. She's flat out said, and I even put a tweet as part of her quote. She said, "No, we are not going to produce we're not going to produce that record." So that's it. It's a costly battle to get this information, and this is, my case is active still. It's been on the Louisiana State Supreme Court desk for 4 months, and I mean, this is a very important battle for me to get the other cases transcripts, to find out what happened, to see, because once if the Supreme Court bounces my case back to Judge Owsley's court, I'll want to make comparisons, because I'll have to do it all over again, and I'll want to. I mean, clearly he's biased towards finding me guilty, and I want to see how the other defendants fared against him as well, and he's denying us that. All right, it's research. It's very valuable research for my case, and they're saying I'm a non-litigant, or I'm a non-defendant, but I mean, still, there's a very close tie-in. They're trying to separate the judge and the clerk. They're trying to create a gap in the bridge between my case and these guys' other cases, where clearly even the Third Circuit Court of Appeals could see how they're tied together. All right, they could see that I was clearly denied a lawyer and then found guilty, and there's a pattern. Those other 5 guys were denied lawyers and found guilty as well, and we have to force the city court somehow to produce those transcripts, that which they say they do not have to produce, and we need them right away. Not a year from now, not 2 years from now, not indefinitely. They can't just hold on to these records and keep piling up records that the public will never be able to see. This is ridiculous. This is ludicrous. How they think that they could just store information like this indefinitely, or at least until Judge Owsley is done with being in office, and then maybe 50 years from now we get those records somehow. It's a timing issue, And so far, once again, 4 months. I'm been active on the Supreme Court's desk, and how much longer will I be? It's undetermined. But there's a lot of dragging of feet, and in a lot of cases, the state Supreme Court has supported that by protecting government officials' public information. And that's a little different than getting transcripts for court cases, but it seems like the city court is trying to tie that all together, and it's not fair. It's not fair for the people, and we need to take. I need to take stronger action somehow. The best way I can do it so far is to talk about it, to try to get my thoughts out, maybe get some feedback if anybody has any ideas. Thank you.